Hello students, welcome to the video tutorial for Informatics Practices of class 11th. Today we shall be discussing the fourth part of the chapter, data handling. Now this is the last part of this chapter students, so you have to be very careful in this video lectures because whatever the concepts will be there in this chapter, all the videos which we have already prepared for this chapter are very important for the next chapters which are coming as well as the portion for class 12th. Okay, so even if a single concept is missing from here, you just pause the videos, rewind it and watch it again, okay, from the first lecture. Okay, so I'm requesting you to do these things. Now let's move further. As we've already discussed in the previous tutorials that what are the uses of different expressions and statements in Python, and also in the last video we have discussed about the typecasting, and also we have discussed that what are the operator precedences, and in which situation we should be choosing the operator precedence, and which situation we choosing the operator associativity. Okay, so left to right associativity, right to left associativity, and everything we have discussed in the previous video tutorials already. So today we shall be discussing about the modules in Python. Okay, so let's see what it is. Working with some standard library modules. Why we are referring standard library modules? Because Python or any other programming language consists of a library. Okay, now by the term library you can already understand that whenever you are referring to library, library means collection. Okay, right now when we are referring to library, that means we are referring to a collection of books. Okay, in schools you are having different libraries, and in libraries you are having different topics books. Okay, so whenever you feel like interest in a particular topic, you go and fetch for that particular book and you get the knowledge from that book. Okay, and whatever the requirement is there at that time, you fulfill it by importing that book from that library. Okay, in the similar way, Python or any other programming language is having its own standard library, and in that standard library there are no books. Here we are having the functions. Okay, and it may be functions, it may be objects. Okay, so whenever you are going to import something from the library, you are having an access of those functions. Okay, and whenever you are going to use that functions, whenever you are going to import that functions, you will having the access of all the functions and all the sub part of those functions and all the subsets of those functions. So whenever you are going to use it, you are going to have a full version and full prototype of those functions already. Okay, you just need to import those functions and the work is done. Don't be confused if it is being hectic for a minute or so. So you don't have to be distracted with that. We'll be going through with it when very easy way. Okay, now let's see. First, what we are going to state here is that other than built-in functions, Python makes available many more functions through modules in its standard library for specialized actions. Why we are referring here specialized actions? Because means already you have all used the Python programming language, and till now we haven't imported any libraries from Python. Why? Because those were not the specialized actions. Okay, that were the normal actions which you need to have in a Python program, and you can access those functions by just creating them. Okay, but whenever there is a need of some special actions, for that specialized actions you are having built-in functions in Python, like print function is also a built-in function. Okay, so when you are going to use that print function, that means the Python is able to understand that you are referring for using that particular print function for printing something. Okay, in the similar way there can be different functions. Now first thing which arises in our mind, the question is that what is module? Now a Python module is a file which contains some variables and constants. So whenever you are referring to module, that means it contains some variables and constants. It may contain some functions or objects, okay, which are already defined in it, predefined. Okay, you don't have to define them. You just need to import it, and all these things are there for you to be accessed. Okay, that only I was telling, that whenever you are going to use any module, that means whenever you are going to import it, all these functions which are already built in there, you have to you are getting an access for those functions, and you just need to import the files and everything will be there. Okay, now let's see what is a random module. Okay, the first thing is the random module which is there in your syllabus. Now by the term random you can understand that it is related with the randomness of the values. Okay, now see here, import random, this line which we are writing here, import random, is being used for importing this random library from Python's standard library modules. Okay, now this random is already having some functions, and this function rand range is a subset of this library. Okay, you can say, and if you are not going to import this random, this rand range function is not going to work. Okay, so it is important that you give access to the Python's interpreter that you are going to use this library random, and inside that random library we are going to use random.randrange. Okay, now see what this function is doing here. Random.randrange 1 comma 5. Here what we are doing, we are starting the values from 1, and as you know the last value is not included, so it is going to have a random values between 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, and as soon as we have pressed enter here, we have got a value there, that is 2. Okay, so it has created a random value between 1 to 4, and the output is 2. Similarly, we have again written random.range 2 comma 8. Now it will create random values, means values means at a time it will print a single value. Okay, among those sets, that is from 2 to 8, we are having 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, because 8 will not be included in that, it is the last. Okay, so in between 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, it has generated a random value, that is 5. Okay, in the similar way again we have written random.randrange 1 comma 5 comma 2. Now what is the difference between this line and this line, is that we have written 2 here, that means every next value is going to be, means it has to be rectified. Okay, rectified means you can say that it has been excluded from that. Okay, that means the set will be like 1, then 3. Okay, so you are starting from 1, you are leaving 2, then again you are having 3, then you are leaving 4. Okay, and also 5 is not to be taken because it is the last part, so you are having only values between 1 and 4. Okay, but 4 it is not to be taken, so 1 and 3, only these two values are there, 1 and 3. So when you are going to import random and you are going to write this line, you are having two values only which can be shown in the output, that is 1 and 3. So out of 1 and 3 it has shown the random value 3. It can be anything. Okay, but the sets which we are talking about, it has to be among them only, that is 1 or 3, anything could be the output here, either 1 or 3. Okay, so you have to see what is the subset here, which subset we are referring, and among that subset which value is to be taken as the output. Okay, so it is just here for using the randomness of the Python. Now how you can use it, suppose if you are creating any game. Okay, suppose if you are playing snake and ladder, okay, or simple ludo game, you have to roll a dice. Okay, and that dice should give some random values. Okay, you don't know that which value is going to come, so for that you can write random.randrange 1 comma 7. Why 7? Because the output should be between 1 to 6. Okay, and then when you are going to enter this, anything between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 can come. Okay, and that can be taken as the input of the dice you are throwing. Okay, so that can be a very important function. Okay, now let's see what are the different other modules in this Python. Second is the statistics module. Now what is statistics module? You have already studied in maths also that statistics consists of mean, median, mode, and all these functions. So let's see what is there. First of all, you will import this, import statistics. Let me change the pointer so it will be better for you. Now see, if you are going to write import statistics, it has imported this statistics library, and now all the functions of statistics can be used. If you would have not imported this line, import statistics, this statistics dot mean would have no meaning. Okay, this will not work. Only it is working here because we have already imported statistics module. Okay, so suppose if we have imported the statistics module and we have the set of values 5, 6, 7, 5, 9, 11, 12, 23, and 5, and we have to take out the mean. Okay, so you don't have to do anything, just write this function statistics dot mean and then provide the value in which these sets are there. Okay, so in A we are having this whole set, so we have given statistics dot mean, and then in bracket we have passed this A. Okay, and A is having the values collection here. Okay, now it is automatically going to give you the mean value among these sets. Okay. Now suppose you have written statistics dot median a. Now it will calculate the median of these values, and the median will be given as 7. And again, if you go for the mode, you know that the highest frequency among these. So 5 is among the highest frequency values because 5 is having 1, 2, and 3. Number of times it is occurring is 3, so frequency is 3. So the highest frequency value is 5. So the mode of this set A is 5. So you have got the output as 5. I think it is clear to you. Okay, at different times we can use this modules. Okay, there can be requirement of this. Right now you might be thinking that what is the use of these things, but whenever you will be going for the further programming and the complex programming, you will get to know these functions. Okay, how to use them. Right now you have to get a basic understanding of these functions, that how they can be utilized. Okay, let's move further. Using math module. Now this is the most important part right now for this syllabus, how to use this math function. Now once you have imported any library, you can have the access of all those functions which is created in that library. So here we are having this math module. So Python's standard library provides a module namely math for math related functions. So whatever the functions are there which is related to the mathematical operations, that work with all number types except for complex number. You have to be very careful with this. You are not going to have a set of complex numbers here. If it is not a set of complex number, you can use these functions for your particular interest. Okay, now let's discuss what are these functions. First, the ceil function. Now ceil, you can understand that ceil is referring to ceiling. Okay, ceiling means which is towards the top. Okay, so if you are going to pass anything in the ceil function, that is math.ceil 1.03, so it is going to take you to the next higher integer. So 1.03 is to be taken to the next higher integer, so the next higher integer is 2, so the answer is 2.0. Okay, now if we are taking the negative value, and then we have written math.ceil minus 1.03, so the next highest integer for minus 1.03 is minus 1.0, so the output is minus 1.0. Okay, if you would have passed math.ceil 2.97, then also it will go for the highest next highest integer, that is 3.0. And if you will pass 2.05, then also it will move for the next highest integer, that is 3. Okay, so that is not a rounding, you have to be very careful this. It is not rounding it, it is taking the next highest integer. Okay, next is the sqrt function. By the name you can understand it is going to perform the square root. So if you have written math.sqrt and you have given a value inside this, that is 81.0, so the square root of 81.0 is 9.0, so you have got the output as 9.0. Okay, this is for the exponentiation function, this is for the absolute function. Absolute, you know that only, that it works like a mod. Okay, so if you are having a negative value, it will convert it to a positive value, that is the absolute value. Okay, so math.fs 1.0 gives 1.0, and minus 1.0 will also give 1.0. Now we have studied about ceil function. This is the floor function. So it is just the opposite of the ceil function. Floor means you are going towards the bottom. Okay. So math.floor 1.03 will give you the next lowest integer. Okay. Next highest, not next lowest this time. That is 1.03 will give you 1.0. Minus 1.03 will give you minus 2.0. If you would have written 2.97, okay, so 2.97 will give you the next lowest integer, that is the 2.0. Okay, I think you have got understanding of this. Similarly, the other functions are all there. Log base 10, power function. Power, we have already used that. Double asterisks can be used for the power also, and here you can use this math.power also. Suppose you have given math.pow 4.0 comma 2.0, it has taken the value as 4 to the power 2, that is it will provide you the value of 16. Okay, now here you can pass the sine values also for getting the values of sine, for the cos values, for the tan values, and this is for converting the values into degrees, and this is for converting the values into radians. So all these functions are there in this math library, and whenever you require any function among them, you just import the math library and use this function in this designated ways. Okay, so whatever that output will be there, you will get the desired output. Okay, let's move further. Examples for writing Python expressions using mathematical expressions. Okay, now suppose here we are having this under root a square plus b square plus c square. How we can use in a mathematical way? First is this, that you have to take the square root. So you will use math.sqrt, as we have already discussed about this function. So math.sqrt, and inside this sqrt you are having a square plus b square plus c square. So you will write a into a plus b into b plus c into c. So first this value will be calculated and the addition will be performed, and whatever the value will be there, the square root of that function will be taken out. Okay, so in this way you can write this value and you can get that desired output for this function. In the similar way, you have written 2 minus y e to the power 2y plus 4y. So you written 2 minus y into math dot exponentiation function. Okay, and then 2 into y plus 4 into y. Next value is there, p plus q divided by r plus s by 4. So divided by and then r plus s power 4, that means math dot power, and the power function is to be put on this r plus s value. Okay, so first it will calculate the result of r plus s, and then whatever the value will be there, a 4 power will be raised for that particular value. Okay, so this is the way for using this math library. Okay, now for this cos x by tan x plus x, you have written math dot cos of x divided by math of tan x then plus x. Okay, here since absolute value is to be taken here, mod is there, so math dot f's, then math dot exponentiation of 2 and then minus x. Now see, this one is very interesting part which I have written here. Here 30 degrees there. Okay, so whenever you are applying sine function, it is taking the argument as a radian. Okay, but here the value is a degree, so you need to first import that, means you have to convert the radians into a degrees. Okay, so here we are having 30 degree. So what we will do, we will convert this degree into radian first. So math dot radians this 30. Now this 30 degree will be converted into radians, and this math dot sine will apply now over the radian value of this 30 degree, and you will get the output of sine 30. Okay, I think it is clear to you. Whenever you feel like you're having problem, just pause the video, rewatch it, and you will get the understanding of this. Okay, now let's move further. Debugging. Now what is debugging? Debugging basically means that whenever you have written a program and you are trying to find out where are the problems in that source code, where is the problem in the source code which is causing the trouble in running the program or compiling the program. Okay, bug means error, debug means to find out that error, to solve that error, to sort out that problem. Okay, so let's see what is there in that. Debugging refers to the process of locating the place of error, cause of error, and correcting the code accordingly. So if you have particular program and you are getting some problem there, if you are getting some error there, you have to locate that place of error and you have to find out why this error is occurring, and then you have to correct that particular code so that you will have a desired output. Okay, so that is the debugging. This is the process of debugging. Now let's see what are the different errors in a program. Now the errors in a program can be like this. An error, sometimes called a bug, is anything in the code that prevents a program from compiling and running correctly. As you can understand, whenever you are, means you have already done programming in class 9th and 10th in Python also. So you must have witnessed these things. Then whenever you are writing some codes on Pythons, ideally, then at the some means at some instances you are having this error. Okay, in that line it was showing that this particular instance is not right or indentation is wrong. All those things which were occurring at that time were the errors you are facing in that programming. So an error, sometimes called bug, is anything in the code that prevents a program from compiling and running. Now there are two different terms, compiling and running. What is the difference between these things? Compiling means if you have written a source code and you are going for fetching the values, at that time if anything is not wrong in the code, it will compile it. Okay, and once it is compiled properly, then you can run it and you can see the output. So at the time of compilation, you are just checking the codes whether the codes are proper or not, and at the time of running, you are getting that compiled code and you are getting the output from that compiled. So that is the difference between compiling and running. Okay, when you are running, at that time you are going to get the output. At the time of compilation, you are not getting any output. You are just checking the codes whether it is a proper source code or not. Okay, and you are not going to do this thing. It is being done already by the interpreter and the compiler of the particular programming language. Okay, So basically, there are three types of errors, that are the compile time errors, runtime errors, and logical errors. Let's try to find out what are these errors. Now see, first is the compile time errors. So whatever the errors that occur during compile time, compile I've already told you that when you have written a program and if you are searching for that program, that whether the source code is right or not, that is the compilation. So whenever you are writing any codes in Python, there is no compilation process. It is basically an interpretation. Okay. So as soon as you write the first line and if there is a something wrong in that code, Python will indicate you that this line is having this problem. Okay. Whenever you are moving for the second line, again if you have written something wrong in the second line, then it will move to the error part and it will show you the error. So you have to rectify the error at each line, and once when you have compiled all the lines properly, the particular code has been corrected properly, then you can go for the running of the program and you will have the output. So here first thing is the compile time errors, and that are the errors that occur during compile time, and these include the syntax error if you have written something wrong in the syntax, and semantic errors. Semantic errors means error in the meaning of the statement. Okay. Now here you can see that if you have written example x is equals to y into z, and if x equal to x into y. Now these statements are right, only the thing is that whenever you are writing something if, okay, so if has to be given in that indentation part. Now you could do something like this: if x equal to x into y, then colon, and this line has to come below this, and that will take some space and then it will come. Okay, in class 9th and 10th I've already told you that what is the indentation in Python programming. So indentation means you have to give some space whenever you are using any loop. Okay, and in the next line when you are writing something after some space, then it is going to take it as a subset of this code. Okay, so here that is the problem, so it is showing you the syntax error in this situation. Okay, and example x into y is equals to z, this is also a problem. Why? Because you cannot write x into y is equals to z. You can write z is equals to x into y. Okay, it is like you are saying that Ram is playing cricket. You cannot say cricket is playing Ram. You're getting it? That is the problem. So Ram is playing cricket is a proper statement. Cricket is playing Ram is not a proper statement. Okay. In the similar way, here also you can say these things, that whenever you are doing these operations, at that time you have to be very careful whether the semantic is right and whether syntax are right or not. Okay. Next is the logical errors. Logical errors are the errors in the logic of a program. If you have written a wrong logic, okay, that is going to raise a logical error. For example, if you have written undesired or inappropriate output of the program, okay, means if you have written something in the code and whatever the output you were expecting, if that output is not coming and something else is coming, that means you have done a mistake in the logic of the program. Okay, suppose if you are expecting a result of addition and the result is not coming for the addition, that means you have done something wrong in the code, and that is why it is producing a undesired or inappropriate output. So that are the logical errors. Next is the runtime errors, that errors that occur during the execution of a program. So in that case, there can be a possibility if you have provided an infinite loop and the program is constantly running. Okay, so it will keep on running and it will lead to a system failure or a system halt. Okay, so that time of errors which occurs in programming is considered under this runtime errors. Okay, so all these parts are clear for you, and it is also the end of this lecture. So I think you have got the concepts of this data handling chapter. If you feel any problem, just mention it in the comment section and we'll see for it. Okay, thank you students, take care.